Welcome back to Goals Don't Have Feelings with Dr. Stacia Alexander. I am privileged to host this show. I repeatedly say it, that focuses on the emotionality of success. And why do I focus on the emotionality of success? Because not enough people are talking about it. You look at people who have set goals and they've achieved those goals, but rarely do you consider what it actually took to dedicate the time to set the goals, develop the plan, execute the plan, and sustain that plan for their goal. So that's what we talk about here. And I have invited several people over the next few weeks to talk about the emotionality of coronavirus because it is hitting our homes far more seriously than we originally anticipated. So I'm a licensed professional counselor, been doing this for over 20 years, and I have a private practice in Dallas, Texas, where I supervise other clinicians rent from me, and I provide services to the community. As well, I run a counseling center at a private HBCU over here in Dallas, Texas. That's been a great experience for me. And as if I don't have enough to do, I have this book that I wrote with my husband and my 2 adult children talking about the Balancing Act. It's the Balancing Act Family Guide, where we highlight the certain specific components of parenting that we feel like have been lost in this fast-paced society that we live in. So if you don't have a copy, go ahead and get it through Amazon or on our personal website at alexandersbalancingact.com. So we have today Miss Machiko Jackson, who is this famous realtor in the Metroplex. She is the most stylish realtor I have ever had the pleasure of knowing, and I absolutely adore her. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Do you remember where we met? I think I have a good idea, but I want to see if you remember.
I believe it was on the trails with Black Girls Run.
Yes, it was. I said, I wonder if she remembers that. You know how you get so used to people's energy, like, where did it start? But yeah, it started for us on Black Girls Run. Do you still run, by the way? No. Don't drop your head, girl. Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Yeah. It's some of
I just haven't had the chance. And you know what? That's a lie. That is a lie. I have time. I just have not chosen to do that in my time. So yeah.
Exactly. So welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about your realty business.
So I will have, let me see. I've been in the business, it'll be 4 years this year.
Okay.
And I just kind of happened into it. My husband had always. Sorry, Stacia. Okay.
About houses, don't forget.
But my husband, I remember like 13 years ago, and the reason why I know it was 13 years ago because my kids and I, we were talking about living in this particular neighborhood at this time.
Okay.
And my husband was like, Machiko, you should probably go into real estate. Like, that's a good thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not selling nobody no houses. Like, I like to look at the houses. I don't want to sell them.
Okay.
And just in the back of my mind, a couple of years ago, I was like, I got to do something different. Mm-hmm. And I went back to that. So I, jumped online to see what type of schooling was available. And I went to Champion School of Real Estate, got my license in under, I think it was like maybe 2 months because I didn't.
Yes.
You know what? You can do it a lot quicker, but I had something going on during that time. And so I just kind of focused more on what I had going on than the real estate thing. Okay. But once I started getting really interested in the classes, I took off and I finished. And it's been, I won't say it's been great ever since because last year was a very, last year was a test.
Okay.
My husband just walked in. Last year was a test, but you know what? God brought me through it. And because of things that I had goals, you talk about, goals don't have feelings. I had to get out of my feelings to accomplish those goals.
Man, okay, so that's a testimony in itself. I can hear.
Oh, goodness, it was crazy.
Okay. So here we are now during another test, I would say, in terms of the corona or COVID-19 pandemic. And I don't think a lot of people are thinking about how it's impacting realtors. Like, what are your first thoughts when I ask you, how is it affecting your industry?
So initially, when it, kind of first happened, the whole shelter down thing, I was super nervous because I was like, oh my God, how are we still going to, conduct our business? How are we still going to sell houses? How are we still going to show? How are we still going to buy? And then I thought, wait, all you got to do is just do it differently. Like just take what you've been doing and do it virtually. And so that's basically what we've been doing. We're instead of going, to show houses like face to face, we either go open the door, let the buyer in, and they walk around while we stay out, or we can, show the home virtually on the system that we have. Like we just kind of take the pictures from MLS and make a video out of it, or we do have the seller, do like a virtual video, just so that there's no contact, like person to person contact. We want to do our part in making sure that this virus exits as quickly as possible. So we want to make sure we're protecting ourselves, but not only ourselves, but our sellers and our buyers. One other thing that I'll add is I do a lot of new construction home sales. So I'm certified in new home constructions. So with them, instead of us going, to the representative and, sitting down and doing the paperwork there, we're able to DocuSign our documents. We're able to discuss the details of the negotiation of the home online. Just, different things that we're, kind of took for granted as, hey, let's sit down and talk about it. Now everything is pretty much, we've basically recreated our business to be a virtual business.
So while we're now in this Corona COVID-19 pandemic, what has that done for the housing market in terms of sales and purchasing and things like that?
So initially, we kind of felt like, what is this going to do for the market? Mm-hmm. Is it going to hurt us? Is it going to help us? And I have some stats that I pick up every week. I look at them every week.
Okay.
Within the last 7 days, we've had 993 new listings in Tarrant County, Dallas County, and Johnson County. Okay. New listings mean that's 993 homes have been put on the market for sale.
Okay, so is that good? Like, is that an increase or decrease?
It's probably a little bit of a decrease, but if you look at it, we're still selling.
Okay.
For us, that's still good because people are still wanting to sell their homes.
Okay.
You think that now, oh my God, let me step back. Maybe not right now, maybe later. I'll sell my house. But 993 homes, that's still pretty good.
Okay.
So our hottest point our hottest point of the market would be in the spring, summertime. Okay. So for the spring, it's a little bit low, just a little bit. Okay. Pendings, meaning that they are under contract, is 789, and then those that have closed, meaning that they went to the table, signed, and they now have a new home, 1,077. And that's again in Johnson, Tarrant, and Dallas County.
Okay.
And that's in the last 7 days. So people are still wanting to sell, people are still wanting to buy. It's just a matter of the buyers being more intentional and the sellers being more serious and actually entertaining offers instead of saying, no, my house is valued at this much, I'm not taking anything other than this.
Okay. Because that's what I was thinking about. Like, it would be really scary now to sell a house and you don't know what's going to happen in 90 days. But then too, it's really scary to not sell your house because you don't know what's going to happen in 90 days.
And that's, I don't like to say that, these times are uncertain. They're just different. They're not what the norm is. They're not what people are used to. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's uncertain. I'm sorry, I have the eyelash or something in my eye. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's uncertain. It's just different right now. So whatever it is that you choose to do, whether you're wanting to buy, whether you're wanting to sell, then sit down with a professional that's going to walk you through that and help you make that decision. I am specialized or certified in new home construction. So most of my clients for like the past 6 to 7 months or so, we've been dealing with a lot of new home construction. And I was on a Zoom call yesterday where a young man, and he was basically saying that new home construction will increase as far as the sales and as far as the price point. So if you've thought about purchasing a brand new house, probably now would be the best time to do it.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. That is.
I found it really interesting because based on me working in it, consistently for the past few months, we know that every certain amount of days, the price point goes up. And so I was thinking, wow, this might affect them as far as like supplies and things like that. So they may, decrease the price point. And
they have. So it's not a buyer's market, as I've heard people say.
So my thing is, if you're wanting to buy, it's a buyer's market. If you're wanting to sell, it's a seller's market. It just depends on what you want to do. Every day is a buyer's market. Every day is a seller's market. It depends on what you're wanting to do and how much you're willing to spend.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So, all righty. So, of course, I have all of these questions that I've been thinking about in terms of my life, but to generalize it or globalize it to the audience, I've just come up with some topics that when I was doing my research and preparation for you coming on the show, some of these topics were repeatedly named in the articles that I read. So, are you game? I'm just going to pull them up.
Let's do it.
Tell me what you think. Okay. All right. So, here we go. The first one is the emotions that are associated with buying a home. Like, what are you seeing in your profession?
So the emotions that are associated with buying a home is, oh my God, I'm ready to buy a house, and let's look at the walls, and oh my gosh, this floor is not the flooring that I want, or it's the initial excitement. Then wait a minute, what have I done? Am I sure? Maybe not. So I think the emotions are over the moon, like with excitement. And then they kind of come down and say, okay, what do I need to do? And how do I get in this home that I want to be with? So I would definitely say excitement is that emotion that's attached with that.
Okay.
And I think where I come in is on the front side. Before we even go view a home, we have a discussion. Okay, we have a planning meeting.
Okay.
And so in that planning meeting, I give them what is to be expected. So you're wanting to find this, and this. Let's be realistic in our expectations of this home.
Okay.
Because once you get into a house, and you always want to make sure you stand within the parameters of how much you can afford. You need to be honest with yourself. Okay. And then your realtor also needs to be honest with you. Look, you said that you wanted to make this payment, and if your realtor is a good realtor, they're also in contact with your lender, and the three of you are a team. Okay. They need to stay within this payment. So therefore, you don't want to show them houses that are out of their range, and that's where you have that conversation at the initial planning meeting. This is what you can afford. This is probably where we should stay. And just because you can afford $300,000 does not necessarily mean $300,000. So that's why I say, like, the emotional attachment to that is excitement.
Okay.
And oh my God, can this really happen?
Okay. All right. So here's the next one. What about the emotionality of selling a home?
So sellers are more like, I've been attached to this house for 20 years, and I know the value of my home. I've raised 3 kids here. My grandchildren come back and visit me.
Yeah,
$450,000 for this house, and I'm like, but the comps doesn't support that. So you need to go with what your comps support, regardless of what your emotional attachment is. When you're a seller, you need to be emotionally detached. This is strictly a business decision.
So see, that would be difficult. I think, that would be difficult. So I think even, for you as a realtor, it would behoove you to have some kind of skills in managing a person's emotional reaction, because I can just think about, we're that family that you're talking about. We've been here 20 years, we've raised kids, my, elderly have lived here, the family members. And I mean, this was where we basically I can't think of the word. This is where we sealed, oh, we're a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what happens is, Stacia, there's a system that I go on, and I look at your neighborhood and I say, okay, based on what has sold in the past 90 to 180 days, this is the range you can sell your home within. Okay. And if you say, but Michiko, that range is off by $75,000, then I'm going to tell you, but the appraiser will tell you what your range is. And you don't want the appraiser to come back and say, you can't get more than, this number for your home, because now you have to come down to what that number is.
Okay.
And you don't want to chase the market. You want to be ahead of the market and be more than what the market says you are. You're chasing it. You never want to chase it.
Okay. So if you're looking at between a buyer and a seller would definitely struggle more emotionally probably than a buyer would.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the attachments to the home. All righty. So here's the next word: scaling a home, or next phrase, I should say.
Okay.
Scaling in a home.
Okay. So scaling a home, I think about what are your needs?
Mm-hmm.
Are you wanting to downsize because you just don't need all this space?
Mm-hmm.
Are you wanting to upsize because you are busting at the seams at your house? I anticipate a lot of phone calls after COVID, because they're either going to be like, look, it was too much space for us all to be in this house and I'm ready to downsize, or, oh my God, they were about to drive me crazy. We need more
room. We need a weight room. Yeah.
But no, seriously, I think the emotional connection with scaling. So you want to upsize, downsize, or right size your home. And
I had heard right size. Okay.
Right size, just maybe, you are wanting a different layout of the house. Maybe 1,800 square feet is the perfect size for you, your wife, and your daughter.
That makes sense. I want the same amount of space, but I want it on a fixed layout. So that would be right sizing. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with that I think the emotional connection with that is just being in a good mental space and being realistic. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. So here's the next one. I'm really interested in this one: investment properties.
So investment properties, and remember how we were talking about with sellers, it should just be strictly a business decision. It's the same thing with investment properties. You need to know your numbers. You want to know your return on investment. You want to know this is the number that I'm going to pay for this property, and don't budge. If they don't come down to that number, then that's not the property for you, because you want to make sure you get the return on what you're investing in, that your money into, whether you are flipping a house or buying a house to rent it out. You're wanting to see the money that you put in. You want to see more of that coming back to you,
because that would create more negative emotions if you didn't have a return on that investment.
Negative emotions, depression, frustration. Not only frustration with yourself, but then you would blame me. Well, you let me do this, and I'm just like, no, all I can do is educate you, and I'm big on education. Right. I always want you to know what the market says, because I don't make the decision. The market determines on what you should and should not do.
Right.
So
you know what? I love intelligent professionals, meaning you're not just working in your field, you're studying.
Yeah.
And that sounds like, that's what it sounds like you do. Like if I came to you and said I have this much money to invest in a property, you would sit down with me and say, Stacia, I know you have an affinity for that neighborhood. Your heart.
Let's not do it here.
Let's not invest that money there. Let's not do that. So So it is something, but I think if people would not necessarily embrace their emotions, but acknowledge, that's the word, acknowledge the emotionality that comes behind.
And believe it or not, Stacia, there's emotions on both sides. It's emotions not only with my clients, but with me as well. And I have to sometimes, remember that, hey, I'm the professional in this, because I get emotionally attached if my client, if we fall in love with the house, because we're in this together. I'm a team. We are a team when we're shopping, when we're selling, whatever the case may be. I don't just like leave them out there. Like I'm attached to the outcome as well. And I'm attached to it because I want to see my people win. Okay. So if they fall in love with the house and it doesn't work out, I have to take a moment to say, okay, look, let's regroup. This is not the only home out there. I know that you love that.
They actually bought the home and then they didn't want it, so they moved out.
It's not that. It's where we won an offer and then something happened with the inspection. It's like, I can't say that you should move forward with this. Yeah.
So that's helpful for people, because that means you're just as committed to the as they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not that agent that if you can't get approved, then I'm sorry. I work with you.
Okay.
I want to see you accomplish that goal, because just because it's a no today does not mean that it's a no in 90 days or a no in 6 months or a no in a year. What is your goal? What is your plan? Okay, so if you have a goal and a plan, I'm here with you. I'm going to be calling you. So what did you do this month to achieve, your goal of home ownership? Like, it's not just oh, that didn't happen. Okay, sorry, I got to go. And even after you've purchased your house, I'm still in contact with you. Since this whole COVID thing has been going on, I have called my client base and I want to know, is there something that you need? How can I help you? How can I pray for you? Like, it's a family thing that's such a major decision in your life.
Right.
That you don't just leave somebody by, the wayside after they close at the closing table.
Yeah, I can't think of a single realtor that we've dealt with that has called me after the sale. Yeah. That's a beautiful attribute. They were probably tired of us by the time we called up, but I don't think anybody has ever called and said, I don't even think we got I don't know. That's too long ago. That's 20 years. But okay, so I do this annual project, August Accountability, yes. And we talk about the 4 quadrants that I think are necessary to achieve a level of peace that we're all seeking: professional, which we've been talking about with the real estate, and then self-care, relationship, and spiritual. So you shared with me that when you launched or when you decided to go into realty, that there was some level of self-doubt. And that falls under the self-care quadrant.
Yes.
So how did you overcome that? Because we're talking about the emotionality of success and what that journey looks like. So how did you overcome that self-doubt?
So initially, like when I first started, like I kind of hit the ground running. I got my license the day I was licensed the day before my birthday.
Okay.
And licensed the day of my birthday, and then I had my first contract, like house under contract, probably not even 60 days later, right?
Wow.
And so as a result of that, like, and it kept happening, like boom, boom, boom. Like I would get under contract, I would put a house on the market, get under contract, buy a house, get under contract. So it happened like quite frequently my first year. So I thought that that's how it was, like that was the meaning of success.
Oh, okay. Like the momentum you would be able to maintain.
Exactly. Right. And I mean, I was putting in effort, don't get me wrong, but I thought that once I started to build everything, then it would start to kind of like run itself. So 2019 was my worst year, which was the year that just passed. And it was because I was dealing with trying to manage a senior going into high school. It started in the summer of 2019. So I'm dealing with a senior going into high school, a daughter who had just got, accepted on, drill team, and my son who's in college. So all these things are happening behind the scenes, and I'm trying to adjust. And I I fell under it. Like it just was like, you know what? I give up. I quit. I'm tired.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I attribute that to self-doubt because I didn't know how strong I was. I didn't realize that, you know what, like get yourself on a schedule, manage your business, manage your home life, and get it in.
Yeah.
I was kind of like caved under the pressure. Like I felt like, I think it was Shonda Rhimes who, the book of yes, the year of yes.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yeah.
so she said, if you're succeeding in one area of your life, it's almost evident that you're going to fail in another area. Well, Stacey, if all you've ever heard is failing is not an option, failing is not an option. When in fact, failing is an option because you grow from that. Like you grow from your failures. So in my mind, I'm failing. What do I do? How do I get back up? And I did not know. I did not realize that I was putting so much pressure on myself to succeed that the failure was winning. So
Okay.
I finally said, Michiko, get up. Like, stop. Just get up and do what you have to do.
Okay.
And that's what I did. Like, I put myself on a schedule. I put my children on a schedule and said, if it does not happen within these couple of hours, then it's not going to happen.
Okay.
And I had to start putting Michiko first instead of putting everybody else first and then giving me whatever I had left over. So I believe the self-doubt was not talking to myself and not telling myself that I can win and not telling myself that it's okay to fail.
It's okay. It's okay to fall short. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so the boundaries helped you put everything in perspective. The boundaries. Yeah.
I had to.
I mean, I've enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we've been drinking some coffee at Mimi. Those spice muffins that they have.
I love the carrot one.
Oh my God. Those spice muffins. If I could get down there to Mimi's during this, if I could just have a dozen of those spice muffins, I'd be okay. But I appreciate you sharing that because that's pretty private. You know, from the outside looking in, we don't really know what other people are going through. And you've made it clear that 2019, it was difficult on the professional side, but on the relationship side, you were rocking it.
I was doing it. I was doing it.
Yes, doing what they needed. But on the professional side, you were like, what happened?
In a house. I looked up, I was 8 months in, and I think I'd only sold maybe 9. And
in the prior year, you had been rolling pretty steady.
In the prior year, my numbers were like, much higher than that at that time. By that point. Well, and that's something that you want to admit to yourself. My team lead was like, so I'm looking at your numbers. What's going on? I was like, girl, everything is great. Everything is fine. Everything is perfect.
You had to take a step back and say, well, what is going on? Yeah. So I know some people will be drawn to your energy. Guys, if you want a stylish realtor, she is definitely the person for you. But not only that, she has a great heart, and you can tell that she's committed to helping you find your right home or selling your home, that she understands the emotionality behind it. And of course, I wanted to highlight that because some of us may be making some decisions during this Corona episode, or maybe you were thinking about selling your home before all of this started. And just kind of needing to take a step back. So I know that people will be drawn to you. They want to get the stylish realtor on their team, not only because you want to find the right home for them, but because you are a committed realtor. So let them know where they can find you and reach out to you.
So my social media is Michiko Jackson. Everything is Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that is at Michiko Jackson. And my email is michiko@michikojackson.com. My website is michikojackson.com.
Excellent. Got it. We'll get it all up for everybody. So thank you again for taking time out of your work from home schedule to let us know. And so, you know what? So what you do now is you do a virtual showing of a home, or you open the home up and let people come in to maintain the social distancing. So there's a way to do your normal realty movement.
Yes.
Great.
It's all virtual. So I say it's all virtual. Most of it is virtual.
Okay.
People still want to see, feel, touch. I strongly advise them not to touch. But for those, what I'll do is just go open the door, let them in, and I'm staying outside while they're, walking around to see the home.
The social distance. Okay.
Well, we do open houses virtually. We do showings virtually. We do closings virtually.
Wow.
Yes.
We can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be.
I think at the end of this, businesses are going to see, you know what? Maybe they don't need to come to the office.
I said the same thing. I said we have been advocating for virtual therapy on different contracts for years. So, we got people who have to get bus fare, who have to pay Ubers to get to yeah, and the government contracts are like, no, they need to come to the office. I've been there, they'll rethink all of that.
Yes.
Because yeah. So thank you. I hope you and your family stay safe, and we'll check in again later. But yeah, take care of yourself. You're such a good
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
it. Absolutely. All righty. You have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye. There you have it. Make sure you follow Michiko Jackson to get all of her real estate information that you need to make a decision about your next selling or purchasing of a home. And if you have not already, make sure you follow me on all of my social media handles, Dr. Stacia Alexander on Facebook. My website is staciaalexander.com. I have a YouTube channel under my name and LinkedIn. Sometimes you'll catch me on Twitter. But all of these videos are loaded up to my website and the YouTube channel, as well as on the Goals Don't Have Feelings Facebook page. So make sure you like, share, definitely comment, because I love engaging with you all. And do a watch party, host it. Get all of your friends to watch the episode with you and have a conversation about these topics that I'm having during these special editions of Goals Don't Have Feelings with Dr. Stacia Alexander. Until next time, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing when you take time out of your day to share a couple of minutes with me on these topics. Be careful. Bye-bye.